Welcome! So before we begin, I would like to ask a question. What is the most disruptive and destructive thing that can afflict your game? That's right. It's those damned pesky players and their petulant penchant for breaking your carefully prepared, perfect pre-planned immaculate world. And how that's a perfectly good thing. In a book, the interactions between characters and the world they live in is entirely up to the writer. In many RPG video games, the player might be able to affect the world, but this still operates on specific predetermined rails set by the creator, and any optional world-changing events happen either at the very end, so you don't really see the consequences, are retconned in a sequel, or everywhere else, if your name happens to be World of Warcraft. Or don't matter at all, because the developer only made 3 similar endings that are decided to by your favorite RGB color. Yes, I'm still salty about Mass Effect. So how does one deal with such things when those boundaries don't really exist, and one silly idea from a player can change your world in a manner you did not expect? First thing I would like to say is don't become overly attached to your world. Yes, you might have spent hours making a map for your awesome city and its inner workings, but that doesn't mean that you should cop out and hand-wave away the fact that your party just summoned Tarask in the middle of it. Your world might have the sickest lore and history behind it, but don't forget that you are not writing your own book that happens to include player characters. You are narrating a story for your players that happens to be set in your world. If an NPC important to your plot dies while the players are supposed to be guarding them, well, don't immediately rush to find a way how to resurrect them just because you didn't take into account that they could, in fact, die. If your party kills the big bad evil guy early, don't bring them back without reason just because you already had their final fight fleshed out in your mind.
You lose, Skeletor.
But come on, what sort of big bad evil guy doesn't have some sort of backup plan if they die? Like possessing someone, having phylactery, like especially if they are an undead monstrosity, there is no way that they would die to a simple stab by some random teleporting ninja. Oh wait. From my experience, taking consequences of their actions away from the players is one of the fastest ways how to make them bored or uninterested in the campaign. There is a lesson once said by a sage wise beyond their age that every player should listen to.
What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
That evil demon you had freed, he accidentally chipped his tooth, which made him lose all his powers, and he became a powerless cranky bar owner.
What does that mean?
Oh, that old evil warlock you killed. Somehow he returned. Probably dark magic, cloning, secrets only warlocks knew. Yeah, that genocide you caused, everyone's past that now. But enough of what you shouldn't do, I guess you get the basics. Here are some of my tips that you can do to make your world more malleable and changing. But the first thing I want to talk about isn't that much about players' actions, but about your own readiness to change the world from the beginning. That is a thing I do in my own campaigns that I found astoundingly helpful in making a world feel organic and real. That's having some big pre-planned events that will happen in the game at a specific predetermined date, and that will stir up the world a little bit. These events happen regardless of the players, unless their direct involvement somehow changes the circumstances. If you prepare such events beforehand, it is very easy to foreshadow them, and they make the world feel more alive and not just utterly centered on the players. Such events can be wars, invasions, natural catastrophes, discoveries of new lands, coups, deaths of important characters, etc., etc. Things that the world will react to, and so will the players. These events don't have to affect the PCs personally, but the fact that they are happening may automatically lead to new plots, new possibilities, new outlooks on things that seemed one-sided. Let's say that at the start of the campaign you decide that 6 months into it, a war will break out between two nations, and no matter where your players are at that point, it will happen. They might be entirely unaffected by this and just hear rumors of this. They might become trapped in a besieged city just because they happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and so on and so forth. It can also be helpful to create a few of these events without any specific predetermined date to be used at an opportune time. It might happen by no fault of your own or of your players that some part of the campaign just isn't that exciting as you have planned, and you can see that your players are not really having fun. But you do not want to just improvise a new plot on the spot. Well, to such situations you can say,
"You've activated my trap card!"
and come with an already prepared event that might change things up a bit and give you more time to work things out behind the scenes. But now I would like to get to a thing I call the status quo of your world. As your players are always in the spotlight of the story, it is often easy to create something of a time vacuum around them, where events transpire only in the near vicinity of their locations, and all the other places remain unchanging, static constants in the world. There is nothing inherently wrong with that, of course. Nobody expects you to keep updating everything that happens anywhere in real time. But what is worth keeping in mind are the places the party had already been to. Keeping a location your party had not discovered yet in a timeless status quo does usually no harm, but changing a familiar place is something that can get them greatly invested, especially if they were the primary reason for some of these changes. For example, let's say that a party of higher-level adventurers returned to a small village they had some dealings in at the start of the campaign. The village is not really a village anymore, but a bustling small town, in no small part due to the party, as they had cleared out a nearby ancient haunted castle of undead a while ago, and the village went on to scour the place of anything valuable left there before they tore the building down and used the material to build more houses and a proper road. The town is now full of merchants because the bandits that have had their lair near the village have been vanquished by the party and aren't a danger anymore. Most villagers greet the party as heroes. They offer them feasts, housing, wedding proposals, these sort of things. Yet there is a group of wealthy villagers who treat the heroes with poorly disguised animosity and backhanded compliments. These villagers secretly had dealings with the bandits, and this partnership had given them wealth and power over the village. But all that is gone now. They might try to vilify the party by falsely blaming them for a crime. They might spread rumors that the party didn't clear out the haunted castle, but instead made a deal with the necromancer that lived there, and they returned to destroy the village for him. They might invite the party for dinner and try to poison them, or, and this is the most vile, malevolent, insidious, sinister option only for the sadist GMs among you, they might lock the party in a room with a candle. If you know what I am talking about, you probably started sweating profusely and your face became horror-stricken upon hearing the name. And if you don't know what a candle is, consider yourself lucky and don't pursue further knowledge, which surely can't be at all found in the old Dragonlance campaign setting or in the Dragonlance novels. Disclaimer here. I love Tasselhoff Burfoot. Please don't lynch me. As you can see, the possibilities are endless, and all of these are consequences of the party's actions. But that will probably be all for today. Again, I'm not trying to give some sort of in-depth dissection of what makes a good world. I'm merely trying to share some of my experience and what helped me become a better world builder. The tavern's closing for now, and you are all welcome when we open again. Farewell. Well, you can stay a little bit longer if you want to hear about our Patreon that has some neat bonus stuff to all of this, and about our absolutely amazing patrons who make all of this possible and who we love with all our hearts, and how you can support us by becoming one of them, or by any other means, really. We are very appreciative of any feedback and all that, and that would probably be all. Goodbye.